Greetings everyone, and welcome to Keeping Up with Papa Life After Work, where we learn how one man manages to keep himself busy, physically active, and mentally engaged after retirement with projects. Today's project, well, believe it or not, I am packing up and getting ready to leave for Colorado for an elk hunt. Check it out. Welcome back, and just kind of looking at me, you would think he must be going out of his mind. I mean, I'm in Florida right now, north central Florida. It's almost 80 degrees and it's late October. He's really going to pack up and drive all the way to Colorado into freezing weather and hunt elk? Well, the answer there is yes and no. And actually, I'm not really much of a hunter anymore, but I do enjoy the aspect of the actual scouting and camaraderie with everyone that's going out with us. So in this particular case, there will be 6 of us traveling from Florida in 2 pickup trucks and 1 trailer full of gear, and headed out to meet several folks from California who are family and also are professional guides. This should be an interesting trip. Let's see if we can get this thing packed up. And by the way, it's not my intention to do a full-blown hunting video. There will be a little bit of scenery and a little bit of the scouting process, and perhaps if we're fortunate enough to take an elk or 2, some of that will be involved as well, but not the actual shooting and so forth. Instead, I'm a little more interested in showing what it takes to prepare for something like this, particularly to drive 2,200 miles from Florida all the way out to Colorado and make sure you have everything with you when you leave. Kind of hate to get out there and be shy of something, because we will be out in the middle of nowhere. Now this will be the second time that I've done this. About 7 years ago, 3 of us drove out. We actually drove out my wife's Jeep Grand Cherokee diesel, pulling a little bit smaller trailer than this one with a Polaris loaded on the back. That was a successful hunt. We were able to harvest 2 elk during that hunting. It really is just a 7-day open season, that's it. And so it was worth the trip. Now we were able at that time to lay 1 seat down in the back of the Grand Cherokee and sleep full length, and just kind of took turns sleeping and driving. So there were 3 of us, each one would drive about 4 hours and then take a break, and then someone would be sleeping in the back. So that worked out really well. The pickup's not quite as perfect for that, but let me show you what the sleeping arrangements will be. Back seat, here's where we plan to sleep. Probably will have a little bit of gear right here, and that's about it. These seats fold up and down. You could leave these down in place and sleep on top of this board that goes across. It's hard as a rock, very uncomfortable. So I tried it out both ways. This will work pretty well, with the exception of the fact that your hip is right here where this cutout is, and you're just going to have to be a little careful not to roll off into the hole. Now the driving plan at the moment is, well, it's about 36 hours. The map says 30, but by the time we stopped to eat, take breaks, things like that, it'll be about 36 hours to get there. We'll probably drive in 4-hour shifts. One of us will drive, one will navigate, the third one will be resting. Probably switch either at the 4-hour mark or at the gasoline replenishment mark. This pickup does not get the best gas mileage. It's got a big Hemi in it. Pulling that trailer, I expect to get around 12 miles per gallon, and that's it. So with a 30-gallon, 32-gallon tank, every 320 miles or so we'll be stopping for fuel. Well, we have both the truck bed and the trailer to put gear in. Now, this is of course sealed with a topper on it, but the topper does not do a great job of sealing. It's just the way it's designed, it's not possible for it to not get wet if it rains. This is the dry area, but to be safe, anything we put in there that would get damaged by getting wet, like my sleeping bag or my cot, they're going to go into plastic bags to be protected. It looks like a lot of room, but it's going to fill up pretty quickly. My tent. Now I have It's a really nice tent called an Oz tent. I've had it for a number of years and it's just absolutely fantastic. The sleeping arrangements will be, there's a large group tent that my nephew, who is the outfitter, will be bringing in. And pretty much everybody will sleep in that, with one or two exceptions. I'm kind of used to using this tent. I use it a lot out on my own, so I'm going to go ahead and set myself up separately from everyone else. Give myself a little peace and quiet at night. I'm looking forward to that. In addition, 7 gallons of fresh water. For whatever. These are dry boxes. Now I've owned these two for a number of years. One of them's got a crack in the bottom, so I've got it taped up. Anything that goes in that one, if we did get a little rain, it may seep in. So anything I put in there, it's okay for it to get wet. This one stays completely dry even during a heavy rain shower. So things like paper towels, some groceries will go in there. Anything that I can't afford to actually get wet. I've used both these boxes for camping trips multiple times, and they really perform super well. In addition to that, I'll be taking at least 1, maybe 2 ice chests. This is borrowed from a neighbor. That one's mine. Or I may not take them at all if the guys are bringing everything that they want. There's no need to overload the trailer with stuff we'll never use. The thought being, though, that worst case scenario, we can put dry goods inside these ice chests on the way out, consume them when we're out there, and then bring them back, hopefully full of elk when we return. For personal use, I have this little burner. It works really well. It goes along with these little propane tanks. Also, I have a heater, which I think I will enjoy immensely. It also uses these little 16-ounce propane bottles. I bought these on a whim. I think I can fit them in the pickup. I don't need to put them here. Well, for the moment, from my perspective, everything of mine that needs to be loaded up, I think is pretty well loaded up. We'll be back at this again tomorrow morning, say sometime around 8 a.m., and I expect we'll be leaving town before noon. Now, there are a few items that we'll wait until the very last minute to make a decision whether or not we want to take it. For example, this is the kit that I take when we tailgate. It's got cooking implements in it. It's got hand towels and things like that. Might need it, might not. One of the gentlemen that's coming with us is a very good cook, so he's probably got everything. I probably don't need to take this. The other thing is this, which is the Buletti solar generator, they call it. It can be charged by the pickup, it can be charged by plugging into the wall, it can be charged by a solar panel, and the solar panel is over here. This might be nice to have because it's quiet. I do have a generator in the back of the truck and probably will use that from time to time, as this will burn down fairly quickly if it's getting a lot of use. It's about 2,000 watts. The beauty of it is I can put it in the back of the bed of the truck and plug it in when we're driving. It'll charge right back up at about 110 watts an hour rate. Only question is, do we really need it for anything? So we'll make that decision tomorrow morning. Next is planning. I developed a checklist years ago for off-grid camping when I'm doing tent camping like this. And this is really it. And it's been modified over the years, and new things are added to it pretty much every time. Then what I'll do is I'll print it out like I did here, and I'll go through and cross out the things in black that I don't want, and then I'll add in things that are missing from the list, and then cross those off as I go. So nice camping checklist tends to make tracking and prepping a lot easier. One thing that does bear mentioning is prepping your truck and prepping your trailer for the trip. Now, the truck went in and got a full service just a few days ago. So the oil was changed, the tires were rotated. And then I noticed this morning, or yesterday actually, there was a little bit of bounce on the tires. So I took it in first thing this morning and had the tires balanced. And sure enough, one of the tires was very badly out of balance. The trailer is really brand new. It's 6-7 months old, that's it. Now, I brought those tires up to proper inflation for the amount of weight that I expect to have on this trip. And no need really to even worry about greasing the hubs. They're fine at this point. As I said, it's really brand new. And finally, the tires on the pickup, 70 pounds on the rear, 65 on the front. Good to go.
It'd probably be easier to climb over the front side to get that other bag up. You hear what I'm saying? We got more to go.
I gotta slide this one in there too.
Now seems like a good time to make a point that I probably should have made already. I was not the project manager for this particular project. Instead, this time, I was just a participant. Kind of a pleasant change for me, actually. Nope, organizing and planning was done by others. Since I really no longer hunt, I was recruited for, well, two primary reasons. First is that I own a newer model truck which was more likely to make it from here all the way out to Colorado and back without some sort of a mechanical breakdown. And second, it was really helpful having 3 people in each of the 2 vehicles to avoid driver fatigue. I was number 6 out of 6. The running joke was that, well, I was the Uber driver and I was a chaperone. Hey, I'm proud of myself. I did a good job. There were no accidents. We didn't leave anybody anywhere out in the field in the backcountry, and we didn't have to post bail. Now, this was a deadhead trip both out and back. 2,200 miles one way, 36 hours one way, stopping only for fuel and for food. And as I mentioned earlier, there were 2 trucks, 3 guys in each truck. We followed a very simple pattern. We would switch drivers pretty much every fuel stop, which gave each driver roughly a 4-hour driving shift. The driver then became the navigator. The navigator then moved to the back seat and became someone that was resting. And then the sleeper previously moved to the front and drove. And that pattern worked pretty well. Just outside of Mobile, Alabama, what hunting trip would be complete without a visit to Buc-ee's? And we arrived after dark at about 10 p.m. on a Thursday evening, and we set up camp at about 6,500 feet above sea level on the western slope of the Rockies and on BLM land, which is public land managed by the Bureau of Land Management. Now, this particular site's been used by family and friends for years. It kind of tucks back into a nice little wooded alcove, and it looks out on a large sagebrush basin. We pretty much had the entire place to ourselves. Following morning, we were unloading, reorganizing, repacking. Canopy still up. It will come down and be moved. My personal tent was there. I moved it over here out of the way. And the boys are already standing up on the back of the pickups and glassing for deer and elk. So our tent was delivered. No instructions. So this is all the King's horses and King's men trying to put Humpty Dumpty together without any kind of knowledge of what they're trying to do. This is fun to watch. Hunting was all done on public lands. It was either national forest or BLM land. The terrain that we were hunting really varied pretty dramatically. I mean, we altered between small wooded areas and canyons anywhere from 6,500 feet up to around 8,000, all the way up to alpine forests and meadows in the 11,000 foot range. Now, Colorado breaks its hunting season into groups, at least they did in this particular year we were hunting, which was the fall of 2025. If I recall correctly, they start off with archery, and then they have 3 gun seasons. We were hunting the second gun season, which ran from a Saturday all the way through the following Sunday, a total of 9 days. We arrived 1 day early, which gave us a day to actually set up camp and go pick up licenses and such and whatever supplies we needed to get, and then at least scout a little bit before hitting it hard on day 1. 6 guys in the group. 5 of us pulled over-the-counter bull elk permits, each one costing around $850 each. Cow elk, not an option in this unit, nor could we pull a deer tag. Deer tags were awarded via drawing only. You know, buying 5 expensive tags was a bit of a gamble, but hey, hunting is always a bit of a gamble. And besides, the year before, friends and family from further out west had taken 5 elk within 10 miles of our location. So we knew that under the right conditions, it could be done. But this year was not the same as the year before, the major difference being weather. Now, there are 2 categories of elk in this region. You have your resident elk and you have your elk that migrate. Resident elk tend to stay in the same area year-round, kind of mid-level elevations, 6,000, 7,000 feet, maybe a little higher. Migratory elk move to greener pastures at high elevations for the summer. Then, when the winter snows arrive, they move back down to lower elevations. In speaking with locals and a staff member for the National Forest, we learned that snow had not yet fallen up high, so the migratory elk were still up there. We either had to go up there and find them or find some resident elk. That made things a lot more difficult. And, well, they got worse. We finally figured out that hunting pressure had moved the migratory elk way into the backcountry, and, well, we didn't have horses. And the resident elk had shifted their patterns to feeding at night, also to avoid hunting pressure. These are smart animals. This was not going to be easy. And to further complicate matters, we also had to stay clear of private land. And private land was everywhere, even deep inside the National Forest. We kept track of this using an app called Onyx, O-N-X. You can look it up. It physically shows your location in relation to private property and even shows the owners of the private property. 5 of us had that app. I did not, but I did have one called Gaia, which I use for my Jeep outings, and it really just basically does the same thing. We also shared locations using the Find My app on our iPhones. Pretty creative, I thought. As long as we had at least 1 bar of LTE, which was probably some 60% of the time, we could track each other if we needed to. When you get to that turnaround, I had to go up and back and up and back and up to the left and back to get through it.
Right in the woods.
You'll see it. Yeah, you can't miss it.
Crazy. That front one is a little deer, little boat.
Oh yeah. Ouch. One of these guys got through my pants leg. Where's that light on?
Sorry.
Our spirit guide is taking us to the elk hunt.
Take us to your pappy.
Take us to your paps.
That's just a baby.
It is. Let her go. I can pass her. It's Sunday, the first Sunday of this leg of the season, and it is busy up here. There are people everywhere. Yesterday was a bit of a mud fest and terrain down low. Right now we are at about 10,300 feet. Dropping the boys off. Then I'm going to ride back down the hill a little bit, and they'll hike down for a few hours and meet me down there. First time, fresh elk tracks. Josh and Bo are headed through the fence and they're gonna do some tracking.
All right, boys. Good luck with it. Let's do it.
Today's oxygen levels are much more manageable. We're at about 6,900 feet. If you take a look off in this direction, you'll see that peak over there. That's where we were yesterday. Over there is Telluride. And the boys are currently down in this draw. There are a lot of good elk sign here. First place we found that really is promising. The other two boys out of the 5 of us are in the same general area, but about 2 miles away from here. All 5 of them are currently trailing active elk sign. We finally found a good spot from which to glass a canyon. Prepping breakfast and lunch for the next day. This is what the guys are hunting this morning. Coming down to the edges of these canyons and glassing. Not much seen yet. It's only around maybe 10 a.m. here. Off in the distance there you see the lone cone. If you're curious, this is what a fresh set of elk tracks looks like. This is small comparison to my hand, and it was undoubtedly a cow. A bull is probably 1.5 times that size and quite a bit deeper.
Hi. What y'all doing? What y'all doing? Huh? You want some dinner?
Tommy and Bo are walking in up here at what we hope to be the honey hole. Josh and Tyler and John I dropped off down the hill a few minutes ago. Fortunately, 3 of us had hunted the area previously, so we had a pretty good idea of the lay of the land. We also had friends from further west that were there at the same time with deer tags, and so we exchanged information with them pretty much on a daily basis. They reported elk-related information, we reported trophy deer sightings. Ultimately, this was a key factor in our eventual success. All right, dropped the boys off maybe 30 minutes ago. They're working this ridge of wood line here. One more try. It came down to the wire, but on the 9th and the final morning, a very nice 6x6 bull elk was taken. We guessed his age to be somewhere around 3 years and a weight of at least 750 pounds. Second bull was also seen, one that I personally spotted from about 1,000 yards away, and that quite frankly I initially mistook for a car driving across the ridgeline. This thing was big, but he eluded us by moving on to private property.
At end of the road, turn right onto Colorado 141.
13.
And there you have it. Mission accomplished. Time to pack up and head home. With the exception of picking up a nail in my right rear tire in Lubbock, Texas, the trip back was pretty much just uneventful, which is always good. Total round trip mileage, including a lot of driving in Colorado, my truck was driven 5,498.5 miles. Total fuel costs for both vehicles, $2,414. We split that 6 ways. Once home, the elk was processed, and that too was split between the 6 of us. Well, that's it. Another project completed. Sort of a project, anyway. I realize this is a little bit out of my typical subject matter, but I hope you enjoyed our adventure, and as usual, questions, comments, and any kind of advice are always welcome. Please remember to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time on Keeping Up with Papa, Life After Work. Papa out.